Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast. This week, I want to talk to you about something really important that might be running your business without you realizing. And the topic I want to talk about this week is guilt. Guilt is one of the strongest emotions that we can feel, and it has absolutely no purpose or no advantage to your life. And if somebody has a good reason for feeling guilty, I want you to message me and tell me, because I don't believe it has any good at all as an emotion being in your life. Guilt is something that, one, as women, we were trained to have from a young age. And we are basically told everything we do could lead to a form of guilt. So whether you are given too much time to your business, whether you are given too much time to work, whether you are a stay-at-home mum, you should feel guilty for not having a job. If you are a mum who works, you should feel guilty for not being at home with the kids. If you are not putting food on the table every night, you should feel guilty that you're not doing everything by your husband. All of these things that we are trained by society, one, that we should feel guilty for them. And then two, we have a whole load of women in society, or a whole load of men, that like to make you feel guilty for those things, regardless of what you're doing. Now, guilt is something that you could constantly feel all of the time if you let yourself. You could feel guilty for spending money. You could feel guilty for wanting a business rather than a job. You could feel guilty for wanting to drive a nice car. You could feel guilty for having a big home when there's people out there who can't afford homes. You could feel guilty for traveling when we're trying to look after the environment. There is all these things that you could feel guilty for. And yet it is one of the things that is going to pull you down to the lowest vibration and the lowest frequency if you allow it to stay in. For me, guilt is one of those emotions that has riddled my life for years. I used to feel guilty about the partner that I broke up with when I was 19. I'm now 41. I used to feel guilty about my husband and the breakdown of our divorce. I used to feel guilty about family. I used to feel guilty about not being so present in the home because I was concentrating on business. Guilt was something that I had just allowed into my life for far too long. And the reason I allowed it in was because I felt like I deserved to not feel good. So if I was doing something that filled me with joy, made me feel good, my guilt would kick in. So basically, my ego would kick in and tell me, you are not allowed to feel good. You now have to feel guilt because you feel good. That is literally what is happening. You feel guilt because you feel good. You feel guilt because you are doing something that lights you up. And this even comes down to things like not being happy in certain situations and maybe choosing yourself in certain situations. And then you'll have to feel guilt for that. And if you were truly being honest to yourself, and if you were truly going after what you desire, you do not need to feel guilty in any way, shape, or form, because you are allowed your desires. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to feel happy. You are allowed to have money. You are allowed to have a successful business. You are allowed to have a successful job. You're allowed to do all of that alongside having a family. Do you think your partners feel as much guilt as you are allowing into your life? Do you think a man feels guilty for going out to work full time when his child's at home? There's probably a percentage of men that do, but the percentage of men that do versus the percentage that women that do will be crazy different. You've got to start to ask, how much guilt are you allowing into your life without realizing it? Because it becomes a massive habit. So for women especially, we are taught that we should just feel guilty. We've now put names around it. We've actually called it something, called it mum guilt. Oh, you've got to feel the mum guilt. Really? You've got to feel guilty for going out and leaving the house without your child. You've got to feel guilty for going out to work, to put clothes on their back, to put food in their mouth. You've got to feel guilty for that. We call it mum guilt. Like, oh my God, we've actually made it a thing. And then we make people feel guilty if they don't feel mum guilt. Like, we make them feel like they're some form of robot or unstable woman because they don't actually feel the mum guilt. I go out with my friends, they talk about mum guilt all the time. And it's like, oh my God, my mum used to go out. My mum used to go out of a night and I'd be like, oh no, stay with us, because that's what you do, because you don't want your mum to leave. But you're a child and you need to understand that she comes back, and she does come back. And that is the thing. It's like, what are you teaching? One, yourself, because you are teaching yourself this over and over again. The more you feel guilt, you're teaching yourself that it's okay, that it's normal. You're normalizing it. You're making yourself feel okay about feeling it. And why? Ultimately, what is underlying guilt is a feeling of not being good enough in some way, shape, or form, or doing something wrong. And you are not doing something wrong by living your life the way that you want to live your life. You are only giving yourself guilt in a way to punish yourself. You are punishing yourself for the choices you are making. You are punishing yourself for the life you are living. Now, you are a soul, you are a divine being, and you are worthy. There is absolutely no need to punish yourself. There is no need to tell yourself that your decisions are wrong. There is no need to tell yourself that your desires are wrong. Let go of any form of guilt in whatever shape it comes in. Because what guilt is doing is actually reprogramming your manifestations to say you are not worthy of them. So everything you're going at, whether you are wanting the most successful business, whether you are wanting to be successful in life, whatever it is, by having a level of guilt, you are dragging your energy down to the lowest vibration possible and saying you do not deserve to be happy. That is fundamentally what you are doing when you bring in guilt into your life. So by bringing in guilt, you are saying to the universe, I do not deserve to be happy. And the universe gives you what you want, but it's very, very clever and very, very literal. The universe doesn't just give you what you want on a manifestation list that you maybe do once a month and you think, well, I've set my intention, it's going to bring me it. The universe mirrors back to you. So if you want the best life, but then you're riddling yourself with guilt all the time and telling yourself you're not good enough or you don't deserve to be happy, the universe is going to bring you situations that tell you you shouldn't be happy. So you're going to keep manifesting these low vibrational situations, whether that's lack of clients, lack of money, all of these things that you want to change, but you're allowing a level of guilt in all the time, which is underriding the fact that you actually are saying, I want to have a successful business. I want to have all these clients. But actually what you are saying is, I don't deserve them because I don't deserve happiness. And those will make me happy. And I don't deserve that. So guilt is counteracting. So we've got to stop normalizing it. We've got to stop allowing it to be a factor in our life. We've got to stop feeling it. We've got to stop letting it in. Because it's not an emotion that you need to feel through and go, why am I feeling this? The only reason you need to feel through it and say, why am I feeling this? Is it's telling you where you don't feel worthy, or you don't feel good enough, or you don't feel like you can have joy. So once you figure out, well, why am I telling myself that I can't have these things? Why am I telling myself that I shouldn't be happy? Why am I telling myself that I'm not worthy? That is what you need to figure out. You don't need to feel through the guilt. The guilt is just an indicator of something bigger going on in your belief system. So you need to look at, why am I allowing myself to feel guilt in this situation? Not flowing through the guilt, but going, guilt doesn't have a place in my life because I am worthy. I am worth everything. I am worth following my desires. So you've got to start to reframe it. So use it as an indicator and then reframe what is going on for you. And once you start to get out of the habit, because this is one of those emotions that literally is just a habit, and it's a habit for women more than men. Once you get out of the habit, you will not have to feel it over and over and over and over. And what you will be doing is securing your belief system in your worth. So you will feel more worthy. You will feel abundant. You will allow in abundance. This will skyrocket your business. So another way that we feel guilt is about how much we do. If we have a day off, we feel guilty. If we don't send that email, we feel guilty. If we don't do that TikTok, we feel guilty. All the things like, why are you feeling guilty for just wanting to take a step back? What you need to reprogram your mind for is that you can take a step back and your business still runs perfectly fine. Wherever the guilt is, just see what it's telling you and then let it go. Because it will be giving you a gift as to where you don't feel good enough. Then as soon as you figure that out, you let that go. And you don't let it keep recurring, because as soon as you feel the guilt, fill it with a mantra of, I am worthy, I am good enough, I am deserving of all my joy. So please try and get out of this guilt habit. Try and get out of this feeling of, I need to feel guilty, because we make ourselves feel guilty. It's not something that like flows into us. It's an emotion that we make ourselves feel most of the time. And it blocks your abundance and it blocks your business success. So please use this as an absolute superpower to release that energy. And watch in a month how much better you'll feel by not allowing guilt into your life. All guilt is doing is saying that you've done something wrong. You cannot do anything wrong. You cannot do anything wrong when you were following your path, when you were following what lights you up, when you're following your desires. You can't do anything wrong. You're not a bad person. You're not a horrible person. You don't go out and try and hurt people. So please stop making yourself feel guilty for living your life and trying to have the best life possible. It is not serving you and it really needs to go. So let yourself release the guilt and skyrocket your success. You will see such a huge difference with this. And I cannot wait to hear what an impact this has once you let that go. All the best for this week. Please let go of the guilt, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.